as we've been reporting, President Biden is set to meet with members of George Floyd's family this afternoon as the nation marks 1 year since his murder at the hands of police. The meeting will happen behind closed doors at the White House, and it comes as bipartisan lawmakers struggle to come to an agreement on a policing overhaul bill named after Floyd, ahead of a deadline from the president. For more on this now, let's bring in Nancy Cordes. She is at the White House. Nancy, what do we know about this meeting? I suppose we probably won't hear much because we heard from the press secretary yesterday, and she said that the expectation, at least from the president, is that it will be a private meeting.
Right. It will be a private meeting. It'll take place in the Oval Office. The president will be there along with the vice president. And the White House press secretary said that it would be closed in order to foster what she called a real conversation, kind of the next phase in a running conversation, if you will, because over the past year, President Biden has reached out to the Floyd family multiple times. He was there at the first memorial service for George Floyd nearly a year ago. And this is a real relationship that has sprung up between the family, the first family, and the Floyd family. So today at this meeting, we're told that George Floyd's daughter, Gianna, will be there, his mother, his sister, several brothers, a nephew. So it's going to be a large crowd, and they're not only going to be coming here to the White House. Before they meet with President Biden, they are sitting down with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi at the Capitol, along with Karen Bass, Congresswoman from California, who's been really the driving force behind the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. And then later today, they're going to be going back to the Capitol to meet with Cory Booker, another principal negotiator, a senator from New Jersey who has been working on negotiations with Republicans over policing reform. And so the family has a very full day today, they hope will be a productive day as Congress works to try to find some kind of compromise that would enable them to pass policing legislation.
Yeah, we spoke to Cory Booker earlier today, Senator Cory Booker, in our 7 o'clock hour, and the sense that I get from him and also from other lawmakers is even though clearly they're not going to make the deadline, they seem optimistic about the conversations while simultaneously there are some vast disagreements about how to move forward. Do we know where this legislation stands right now?
Sure. Well, I think it's always a good sign when you have lawmakers from both sides saying they feel really good that they're going to get there. That is not the kind of language they typically use if they're afraid they're not going to be able to get this over the finish line. So both Cory Booker and Tim Scott, a Republican of South Carolina, who are there at the table, say that they think they can get a deal done within weeks, not months, but weeks. And what Booker said on CBS this morning that I thought was interesting was he said, look, everybody talks about qualified immunity and how that's this big sticking point, the fact that Democrats want to roll back protections for police officers that prevent them from being sued in civil court for wrongdoing. And Republicans are much more leery of a rollback in those protections. But he said he said he wishes that was the only stumbling block. There are a lot of other things that got to work through as well in order to pass meaningful reform. This is something that Congress wouldn't have even attempted a few years ago because it is such a sticky subject. So the fact that they feel they've got a lot of unresolved issues, but they can get past them, I think is a pretty good sign.
Also on Mr. Biden's legislative agenda is infrastructure. Yesterday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that the ball is in Republicans' court as the White House waits for a GOP counteroffer on this massive legislation. Is the White House confident that it can reach some sort of bipartisan agreement? Is there any talk of pushing the proposal through without Republican support?
So I would say that these negotiations are not quite as promising as the police reform conversations right now. We appear to have reached a bit of a he said, she said phase in talks between the White House and Republicans, where the White House is saying we made some big concessions. It's now Republicans' turn to come to us and give something up. And Republicans are saying, oh, the White House said it was going to give up way more than that. We don't think that they're listening to us and what we need to get across the finish line, and they should go back to go back to the drawing board and come up with more cuts. The biggest flashpoint here, and it really is a big one, is over what Republicans are now calling social infrastructure. All the things that the White House wants in its proposal, which is $1.7 trillion, that don't have to do with things like roads and bridges and ports and airports and broadband, all the other things that have to do with child care or health care that the White House argues are just as important as traditional infrastructure when it comes to getting people back to work, but which Republicans argue really belong in some separate bill. Republicans say that it was their understanding that the White House was going to strip a lot of that out in its newest proposal, but that didn't happen. And so, the two sides are at a bit of an impasse right now, and Democrats and the White House are making preparations for the possibility that they will have to try to go it alone without Republican buy-in, which would require a very different procedure, one in which they could afford to lose almost no Democratic support.
All right, before we let you go, one more thing. There's a new report from the Wall Street Journal, and it's raising questions about the origins of COVID-19. U.S. intelligence reportedly believes lab staff in Wuhan sought hospital care in November of 2019. That is a month before China reported its first cases of the coronavirus. And the report suggests that they had similar symptoms to those who have contracted the coronavirus. What more can you tell us, and are you hearing from U.S. officials on this?
Yes, CBS has spoken to top U.S. officials who have had classified briefings, or who know other officials who have had classified briefings on all this, who are now more open to this theory about the possibility that the coronavirus originated in a lab in China than they were before. The working theory for many, many people before all this was that it occurred naturally in the wild, and that it somehow was passed from animals to humans in the Wuhan area back in late 2019. But there hasn't been a lot of evidence for that theory so far, and it's been very difficult to prove the reverse, that it originated in this Wuhan lab that studies viruses, because the Chinese have not handed over data. They haven't handed over samples. They are rejecting outright these reports that intelligence reports have discovered that there were 3 individuals in that lab who actually got sick a month earlier than the first noted case of COVID-19. They were so sick they had to be hospitalized. Chinese officials are essentially calling that a bunch of nonsense. But here at the White House, they are using this new controversy as a reason to push once again for China to hand over data and samples that the WHO would need to conduct a more thorough investigation. They're not confirming one way or the other whether these intelligence reports are correct, but they are saying, look, this just shows why we need China to hand over the information. And the reason that all of this is so important, the reason that we care about the origin of the virus, and look, nobody is saying that it was released intentionally by this lab or that it was created by the lab. It may have been studied by the lab if this is indeed how the virus originated. But it's important to know that, because when you're trying to prevent future pandemics, you need to know how this one started.
Yeah, exactly. Nancy, fascinating story. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.